He's going.
It could start at any moment. It may have already started. Well, hi there. Here, wait, I need
I thought that was my line.
Yeah, do it.
Well, hi there.
How about this guy?
Hi, guys.
What the? Where's that long-haired fellow?
What?
This is a fun day. This buy one, get 3 free.
Well, hi there.
How are you guys doing? Welcome to, well, let's see. I'm going to see if we can fit Dave back in
Oh,
here.
there we go. Yes. I am usually photos.
Well, welcome to the most reptile fanatics we've ever had in a live stream.
Not counting you guys, of course.
Yes. Well, hopefully we get to the most reptile fanatics we've ever had in a live stream. I've got Jason coming in over the phone, and let's see. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. I am Clint from Clint's Reptiles.
I'm Brian Cusco.
I'm Brian Cusco, and so is my wife.
I was just gonna interject that. I'm Dave Kaufman.
The end.
And so is my wife.
My name's Garrett Hartle from Reach Out Reptiles.
You guys remember the rad retic that was sent to us last week? Well, this is where it came from.
My fault. Hey, it was really cool chatting with you guys, and now I get to be here live for this. This is very cool.
This is live?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, this won't be edited. Dave doesn't know how to do anything if it's not going to be edited.
No.
It's going to be fun.
That would be more accurate if you stopped at anything.
Every question would have been so great because you could ask Dave a question and he would have answered it 6 or 7 times.
Coffee. Sorry. You could ask me what?
He'd answer the question 6 or 7 times before, he'd get a response that he really, really liked, and he'd go, "Let's go with that one." And then he'd do it one more time.
Just film it.
because he's a professional. He's a professional.
Just to give myself some options.
You're not a professional until you've taken 27 takes of the shot.
That is absolutely
That
correct.
is correct.
That is why I have 1 million gigabyte SD cards in my camera. True story.
We've been having a really awesome week. We've been down in southern Utah, herping like crazy people. You might have seen a picture of us doing that on our thumbnail here. And then on top of that, well, we've been meeting a lot of just the most incredible people in the reptile community that are right here in Utah. I mean, some of them, it's amazing how many amazing reptile people are within like 6 to 8 minutes of my house, and I didn't even know they were here. But these guys know everybody, and so they've been introducing me to lots of really neat people. A lot of amazing videos will be coming in the coming weeks and months. So gear up.
Heck yeah. I like the 360-degree, view of you that you guys are going to get at the trip too, because all of us have been filming for our own YouTube channel. So if you really want to punish yourselves, you can jump from person to person to person and see the adventure from multiple perspectives.
Yeah, you probably have some serious subscribing to do.
But, it's not like we all film the same video at the same person's house.
No,
like TSK, I focused on the green tree pythons. Brian focused on the ball pythons there. You guys focused on everything in between. So
women in the reptile industry. Don't let him rush you over like he always does, ladies. I focused on women in the reptile industry.
I resent that. But no, I mean, we were all at the same place, but we all, filmed something different at that same place. And therefore, you're not watching the same video on each one of our channels.
Like when we were out herping in the desert, Dave was really focused on capturing the beauty of some of the animals, and I was really focused on capturing Dave being focused on capturing the animals and what it really looks like when he's trying to focus.
And then I was in the back selfieing behind Brian, capturing Dave, capturing the animals, laughing with Clint.
And that is what you can see on each of our individual channels.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No big deal.
I just want to say one thing for all you guys that haven't actually met Clint in person. You watch his videos all the time. This guy is as good as he is on video in person, if not better.
No, he's definitely better.
Better in person, but just as awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I think I'm the only one that's meeting you for the first time this trip. I mean, we've had a
conversation before.
Yeah, but never actually met in person. And when my wife heard that I was coming on this trip, she's like, "Oh, I love that guy. I hope he's as cool in real life, And I'm pretty sure by cool she meant like super reptile nerd. Because our family is. But yeah, it's right. It's absolutely true.
Hopefully, I check off the super nerd box.
You doubled down on our super nerdness in the group. We were at a certain level, and we added Clint, and went from here to bam there.
Yeah, they actually edit out some of your nerdiness in those videos, don't they? They try to scale it back. That's nice of them to think.
That is why I edit my own videos.
The snarkiness is next level in case you were wondering. I see your super chat has already gone off. You guys are awesome.
Is that so, Jason?
Yeah, we got a couple in. You guys want to go through some of those?
Absolutely, and you can direct super chats to any of us. You might get feedback from all of us. So this is once again, this is buy one get 3 free day on our live stream. So yeah, let's have the first one, Mr. Jason.
All right, this is Cook, our friend at Ramen Noodle or Ramen Reptiles.
Ramen Reptiles. Okay. Can I say something about Ramen Reptiles real quick? I follow Ramen Reptiles on Instagram. And she kind of, I think, had taken a bit of a sculpting hiatus. Well, lately, but I think because of difficulty getting supplies and stuff with COVID, she's back at it. And some of the stuff that she's making, it seems like even next level beyond what she was doing before. So if you don't follow Ramen Reptiles, start, because so fun. Sorry, carry on. And actually, these guys were totally geeking out about the snake you sent us. So thank you so much. Sorry, carry on as you were.
Oh, the ceramic, she makes the ceramic snakes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah.
That was really cool.
What was that?
All right, so Michelle said move me closer to the mic.
Move who closer to the mic?
Me.
You're as close as humanly possible.
Turn him up loud.
You are the mic.
I'll try to repeat any questions that you have to say, though.
Please. Okay, Amanda says you are in my neck of the woods and I wasn't invited.
Oh, man, I didn't even think of that.
Another person 6 to 8 miles from your house.
Yeah, it's
Oh no, she means St. George.
That makes. I gotta start thinking of this kind of thing, like when we go places. We should have meet and greets every now and then. That would be so much fun.
I'll tell you this. That's a really good idea. But here's the thing. So in my travels, I meet more people after I get home from the travels and start posting stuff on social media. And they're like, oh, you were right there. So you just have to kind of like repeat that trip like a year later or something, just to meet all the people that you would have met if you would have known before you went on the trip.
Yeah. COVID era meet and greets are a little bit hard too.
That is true.
But, like we, you can tell we're all in the same room right now. We've all been, we're
staying 6 feet apart now.
We were very careful about any sort of symptoms and things beforehand, but the reality is, we've been together a lot, so we're pretty much just exposed to each other. However, we've still tried to dramatically reduce our exposure to other people.
Absolutely.
And
we've been wearing masks.
But next time,
all that sort of stuff.
in the future better world, we would love to have you along.
Definitely.
Sorry.
All right. Anthony Simone sent the super chat.
Anthony's so awesome. He was actually one of my chatted with yesterday, and I totally had forgotten that we even had scheduled chats for yesterday with all the stuff we had, and he was super gracious to move the time. So anyway, thank you, Anthony. Sorry, carry on as you were.
He says, have you ever encountered a Parenti? And
A Parenti?
while I know it would be a terrible pet, would you make a video on it?
Okay, have you ever encountered a Parenti, and would you make a video on it? I've not seen them outside of the zoo.
Brian and I sort of did.
Oh, what do you mean sort of?
Like our Chuck Wallen?
I basically made out with a Parenti.
No, yeah,
That's true.
Our reptile show, you guys were holding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait a minute, though. There's two different things. In the wild or in a captive
No,
situation?
he's talking about as a pet.
Well, I think
right.
in any situation, you can qualify it how you like.
All right, because we did see a mummified one when we were looking for them in Australia 5 months ago. But then we did meet a super chill Parenti.
It depends on how it's raised. That's the thing with a lot of different animals. It doesn't matter what the species is so much. It matters a little bit, but what matters even more is how that animal was treated from a hatchling to an adult. You can really acclimate many different animals. Like a Parenti in the wild is going to rip you to shreds. But this Parenti that had been raised well and acclimated to people in captivity, we were able to hold and hug like a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
So
their temperament and keeping is very similar to an Argus monitor, but bigger. So they act very much like an Argus.
So they just
monitor.
really like food.
Yeah, like in a scary way.
Yes. And if you've seen our video on Nile monitors, like I talked to you about the fact that Nile monitors are often monsters, but obviously the one in our video, phenomenal. If they were all like that, I'd be like, except for them just being really big, like this is the greatest monitor in the world. And really the reality is, I mean, you've seen people that work with croc monitors. If you're an expert and you really, really are deliberate about what you're doing and you put in the time and you have the expertise, again, you can have success with about anything. It's just that's not going to be the case with most people. And so get an Ackie.
Safe. Safe bet. It's not going to be able to take your hand off.
Good question.
Okay, so our friend Amar sent a super chat.
Amar! These are like, it's amazing how many of these people I've actually gotten to talk to now. It's sometimes multiple times. And like now I feel like we're real life friends. And so thank you. Anyway, sorry. Back to Amar's question.
So this is one specifically for you.
For me? Okay, yes.
How much does a pint of beer cost where you're at?
I have no idea. I've never in my life bought a pint of beer. I as a small child, I tasted beer once. I asked my uncle what it was, and he said, beer, and do you want to taste it? So I tasted it, and it was horrendous, and I moved on. Never had an interest in trying it again. Any idea what a pint of beer costs here?
Well, for you, we could get one for free.
Free.
Free
Yeah,
beer.
yeah.
It's going to be somewhere between $2 to $10, depending on where you're at and what exactly you're getting.
All right, now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
I would assume that a pint of beer here costs the same as it does any other state.
But they may be international.
So how much in euros?
Is Amir international? Isn't that his question?
So we got,
Where's he from? Amir?
Amar is
Amar.
I'm sorry.
He's in Ireland.
Yeah.
Ireland.
oh,
That's
Ireland.
one of the best places to get a pint of beer on the planet.
a very valid
Honestly.
question.
I mean, if you're from Ireland, are you really calling what we have here at beer?
A pint of Guinness. You want an imperial pint. You probably know about that, Amar. The imperial pint is where it's at. Maybe not. Maybe not in Ireland. Oof. Scratch that.
Can we edit that out of this?
Yeah, no. Everything will be edited. Don't you worry, Dave. Oh, what else?
Okay, actually, the nerd is in the chat.
Get out of town.
And nerd wants to ask a question for Cusco.
Let's
Oh,
have it.
boy.
Of
Oh,
course he does.
is it about Instagram?
They have yet to actually ask the question. Nerd, ask away.
Okay, so we are waiting for it.
Oh, wait for it to be typed.
Nerd.
But is it? There's
But
been
who-
answer. Is it Donnie?
I was just
or
going to say, is it
Kevin?
Donnie or Kevin or is it Jeremy?
Jeremy or Rob? Like, which nerd are we talking to?
Yeah, they got a lot of nerds
Is it
over there.
like everybody in this room? Or?
We'll know here in a second. When it comes in, if it's kind of rude, and it's to Brian, it's definitely
It's
Donnie.
Donnie.
Because no one else on earth could be rude to Brian. Brian's the nicest person I've ever met. Okay, they say lol. That's nerds.
Here we
Maybe we should do super chat.
What?
Yeah, new super chat.
Word it perfectly, evidently.
While we're waiting for the nerd comment, I just want to say that we're having a contest right now for the biggest super chat that Clint gets. We're all going to sign this shirt that I'm wearing right here, and we're going to send it to you. Everyone here will sign the shirt and the winning super chat to help support Clint's reptile room and get him some of the caging that he really needs for some of those animals to make it the most amazing place he's going to make it. Is going to get this shirt signed by all of us.
How rad is that?
That was the
Pretty rad,
best
so.
idea I've ever had to do that.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. That is so cool, guys. Thank you for doing that,
Literally
Brian.
giving the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is the kind of guy that Brian Cusco
It won't even be washed first.
probably wash it.
Straight off of Brian's back and right
he
to
doesn't
you.
shower all that much, and we've been herping in the desert for days.
There is some tie-dye going on in those bits.
Anything from Nerd? Hi.
Nothing yet. But why don't we actually J.A.G. Gilbert sent a super chat of $19.99 and is therefore the current It currently moved
Wow.
to that T-shirt.
Whoa!
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jag, our current leader.
No, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I have to ask. You're not jagging with us, are you?
I am not.
Jack just sent the super chat to send the super chat, which is awesome.
Thank you
He
so
said,
much, Jag.
all my favorites at the same time.
Nice.
It is such a fun group of people. I mean, they look like fun people when you see them on their channels. I'm gonna go so far as to say in person, more fun. Like I've had such a blast, and we've found some really cool stuff herping, but it is so dry here that we didn't find nearly as much as I would have hoped, and yet I've still had one of just the greatest times ever because of these people.
It has been a great week.
We go herping quite a bit, but adding you to the mix is like next level.
Well, we pair off well too. Like, just the two of us can hang out. Just the two of you guys can hang out. Everybody pairs off well. It's like there's no weird fourth or third wheel action. It's everybody like can gel on it with just the two. You know, it's cool.
We're gonna have to start like a herping club. And like Emily and I were talking about this. Emily from Snake Discovery. We have to get like a herping club together and like invite a bunch of people. Pick a spot, like a really, like Kansas or Everglades or Chiricahuas, wherever, and just get us together and invite our fans to come and meet us and like do this whole big, herping club where we take them out and. They pay us just copious amounts of money to do this. And so...
Dave, you can't edit this one.
Whoa!
Try not to be so Dave. What do we got?
Somebody bid up high for that shirt right now, didn't they?
And he said, this is Tony Smith, and he just said, you can keep that shirt.
Tony, thank you. That's my kind of bid.
He's trying to keep the shirt on your back.
Keep the shirt on custom. Yes, let's bid for that.
It would be different if he'd brought more than one shirt on the trip.
No, this is literally the only red Triple B shirt that exists on the planet right now. So,
Ooh.
It's kind of more like pink at this point.
yeah, it's a little more pinkish after all the tie-dye sweat.
A little yellow in the pits.
Holy cow, that's a collector's item. For real. I'm excited. Now I want to bid. How do I do this super chat?
It'll be your responsibility to ship it out. Maybe it gets lost in the mail. Maybe it doesn't.
Brilliant. That would be horrendous. I would never do that to you.
That's not the first time I've had that happen where I offered up a prize for somebody and somebody won and they said, well, what I'd like for you to do is like either like keep it, get your kids some ice cream or something along those lines. Like, what did he put it at? $100. That's $100. This could become an expensive shirt. Nice person to try and win it.
This is like the U.S. ARC auctions that we can't go to right now. So
Yeah.
Exactly right.
we need to get Kim Bell.
This is
Outfit
the
made.
Clint Reptile room
That's
action.
tradition.
You guys are awesome.
That does say something about the kinds of prizes they're offering, though, that people are winning and saying, please give me a prize.
Touche.
I've never had that happen when I offer a super dwarf.
Oh dear.
Here's a male normal het pie. I'm going to give this away for the first person. Super chat's $1.
Well, Mr. Merritt, can you hear us still?
Yes, I have a question from New England Reptile.
Oh boy, we've been waiting for this
There's the
one.
nerd.
Most anticipated question ever.
So this is, they say, on behalf of the nerd staff, why do you unfollow us on Instagram?
That's Donnie.
Wait, who is it from?
It's
Donnie,
from
Rob,
Donnie
and
to
Jeremy.
Oh, they tripled up. Now here's something. I did a little investigative research, and he was following Nerd on Instagram. Last I saw, he just wasn't following Donnie, which was probably personal.
I'm not doing it. I'm not going to touch anything other than do a little search right here, just out of curiosity. To be honest, I don't follow a ton of people on Instagram. It's nothing really personal. It's just that I don't have a lot of time in my day. I got kids. I got all kinds of stuff to do. So I don't generally follow anybody I haven't met in person. Even people I do meet in person. It's not a personal thing. It's just a time thing. If I'm going to follow somebody, I'm actually going to spend a lot of time.
Follows you for real.
So far right here, we got, this is the Nerd account. It says that I'm following it. I didn't just do that. It says I'm following Nerd right there.
I checked it like a week ago.
So I don't know what to tell you.
When Donnie first started calling you out, and I noticed you were following Nerd, but you weren't folling Donnie.
But I am now following Donnie and Rob and Jeremy.
So if you want Brian to follow you. All you have to do is aggressively call him out on social media,
That's
and
right.
then again in a live chat.
What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? What is Instagram?
Yeah, that's a new thing. The kids are playing with these days. All right, so is the great YouTube war, Cusco Donnie war?
Oh no, we're just getting started.
Oh, good. I was hoping this would ramp up. I've wanted to see you in the great.
Actually,
YouTube
I
feud.
was here. Actually, I was. I'm assuming that's Donnie that's making that comment right there, and so I'm gonna go ahead and see that I was. Let me see.
Donnie, I'm following you. Just
Donnie, right there. It's got to be Donnie that's saying that, and it says that I'm following you right there. But how do you? Oh, there, unfollow. There you go. I fixed it.
Oh, no.
I fixed it.
You saw it here first.
Oh, snap.
I'm just kidding. I'm following back right now.
Oh,
Don't get all twisted. What is this?
What it is.
he's back. He's too nice to actually do something like that. All right. Well, what's our next question? I see one coming from Garrett, but I'll wait.
Actually, Alicia has asked that you do your hair.
That you do her hair?
Your hair.
Oh, my hair. Yeah, I could use a little help. I can see it in the camera. It's a mess, but I don't know what to do.
COVID hair.
Yeah. Hey, see? This is what happened. Jason wouldn't do that for me.
Anything for you, buddy.
This Garrett, he's all right. We even like somebody sent us pen combs for Jason's use, and he still won't.
This is actually this is a sterilized brush, just so you know.
Ooh.
I use that brush for my.
Yeah.
There we go.
Huzzah! Thank you.
No problem.
Huzzah.
Alicia's like, he looks like a bum. Fix him. It's been a crazy week. I don't think I've had more than 5 or so hours of sleep any given night.
I have not slept since I've been here.
It's been.
And it's
You look that
175
good?
degrees.
Imagine how handsome Dave is most of the time. If this is what he looks like on no
I
sleep.
get my sleep and
I
my
definitely
shower. And,
All right, what's our next question?
All right, this is a super chat from Sherry LBW.
Oh, Sherry, Leash, correct me if I'm wrong. Sherry's the one that sent the Gaboon Viper, and it's stinking rad. All right, I'm ready.
She says, finally got my trio of normal Eastern garters and am amazed at how outgoing and curious they are. Thank you again for showing me how much I was missing snakes in my life.
oh, that's awesome.
That is very
That's
cool.
awesome.
We
What
even
an amazing species too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went this week to tour Don's Garters. Who's the one that lent us the snakes for our video on garters. I'm interested where you went to get yours. There's some just garters are amazing snakes, and the group, and they're one of the best display snakes because they're beautiful and they're active and they're interactive with one another and with you. They're just so
They'll
special.
even go semi-aquatic, and their
Oh,
hunting
yeah.
strategies are awesome.
Mouth open.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh,
It's just something that's unappreciated, I think, because a lot of us, depending on where you're from in the United States, grew up with them.
Mm.
But super cool species.
They're kind of all over.
Yeah, those and the Nerodia, the water snakes, I really enjoy too.
they're really neat.
That's something
Those are my
that
favorites.
my kids, are being able to grow up with, and it really does connect them to the natural world.
Some of those water snakes are unbelievably beautiful. The banded waters.
Yeah.
They're just.
I don't know that I would be as enthusiastic as I am about reptiles if it wasn't for Eastern garters, though.
Yep.
Because that
I
was
think
the
that's-
species that you grow up that you can always
Absolutely.
find, and it's a phenomenal looking snake. They're always a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
First snake a lot of us found, when we were kids.
Yeah.
Yep. My first reptiles were garters.
Good choice.
Thank you. That was a great one.
All right. Leanne's Critter Corner sent a super chat saying, massive fan, would love to show you all critters from South Africa. Just started a YouTube channel.
Wow, that sounds awesome. She's probably in South Africa?
Yep.
That would be amazing.
That is a dream destination for me, big time.
Yes, please.
So what is her name?
What was her name again?
Leanne's Critter Corner.
Leanne Critter's Corner?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay.
Critters.
I have a good friend out in South Africa, Heidi Pfeiffer. and we're gonna have to go out. She wants us to come out and visit sometime. So when she does that, I'll let you know, and maybe we can actually all go out to South Africa together.
Could we see jumping great white sharks? Because that would be.
Yes, and we got to go to Kruger.
Oh my gosh.
I actually have a little insight I can share for your channel because I refuse to show it anyone on my channel. So if any of you happen to, be on our channel too, just
Tune out.
keep it quiet. But I've been specializing in nothing but one species for a very long time. But I've had my eye on like what is next. I wanted a pet project, and so this would interest you. We were just talking about garter snakes and us growing up with them. I just picked up a large and diverse group of African house snakes, a few different species, mostly capensis, and a variety of the morphs, which is kind of their version of the garter snakes.
They're common there too.
Yeah, and so just a phenomenal little animal. They're just like a tiny little miniaturized python, the head shape, the behaviors, and everything. So yeah, I'm actually quite heavily invested in that species now. So, the South African stuff, the scene is super cool and also very underappreciated.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We'll have to cover them soon.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. All right, what else?
All right. Nathan Morse sent a super chat. Clint, you need a super chat.
Super chat. That's for you, Jason.
Nathan Morse says, "You're all my heroes. I hope to get my channel rolling soon. Any tips for a rookie YouTuber?"
Have they uploaded a video yet? That's the big question. Because if you haven't, that's the very first step, and sometimes the hardest step.
That's like putting gas in the car.
My tip, and I don't know if it's the greatest, but it's like what I think we should have done is create several videos before you start releasing videos, and make sure that you have a process that you're willing to do and that you can do consistently, and that you get it all dialed in just the way that you'd like it to be before you start releasing videos, because then you can get overwhelmed by the need to keep uploading. I see a lot of people that start YouTube channels and they've put out like 200 so-so videos, and they would have been way better off with like 10 great videos.
I agree.
And they're working themselves like crazy, but none of their videos are of a quality that anybody's going to want to watch. And if they just stopped being so overwhelmed by the need to keep putting out videos and just could step back and just make a few great ones, I think that would make a big difference.
That's excellent advice.
I would say a couple of things to that. Be consistent and be original. Don't go look and see what everybody else is doing on YouTube and try to, copy that and try to emulate that. Be an original, because that's what's going to gain you an audience that, is invested in you and wants to watch you. Also, plan about, if you can, this is what I do, plan about 2 months out, and then pick a day every week that is going to be your upload day, but also in that day, pick an upload time. So let's say you pick Thursdays at noon. Be consistent by uploading your videos at Thursday at noon, because as you build your audience, they're going to they're going to sit there and say, it's Thursday, it's noon, new video is coming.
Mine is kind of similar to Dave says, be original. My advice for how to be original is to is to be authentic, because you are authentically original. As soon as you try to be somebody else, you're not ever going to be as successful being somebody else as you are going to be yourself. So find something that you are really genuinely excited about. Clint's a perfect example of this. We all watch Clint because he sits down and he's so excited about what he's talking about, and he could easily say, hey, makeup and video game channels are really big. That's what I should do. But he would never be as successful as he is, just talking about the things that really get him fired up and allowing himself to be vulnerable enough that, people can relate to him on an emotional level and keep coming back. I mean, I'm sure that I speak for you guys as well when you can say that is what is really great about Clint's channel. It's the information, but mostly it's the way that he delivers it. Otherwise, you can get that information somewhere else.
That's exactly correct.
To drive that same point home, it's the same thing. It's in the name, YouTube. you is the big thing that you have to offer to your channel. You can do things like nobody else can. And the more you are true to yourself and who you are in the videos you put out, not only is it going to be easier to do that because it's just you and it's what you naturally do, you're going to enjoy what you're putting out better because it's real to you, and you're going to enjoy it that much more, and it's going to resonate with the people watching. Like, this person really enjoys who they are and what they're doing, and that's just going to help build your channel as well, because people really want to see people who are and have learned to invest in themselves and have found a way to get that out to other people and relate to other people just by being themselves. And again, the payback for just being yourself and the reward that you're going to get back from that is better than any feeling you'll ever get.
I agree.
There's a channel, one more tip, one that really helps me. I'll shout out another channel. I hope, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called Video Content Creators. That's a great place for a beginner all the way up. I still learn things from them constantly. Go check out that channel on YouTube. It's a whole channel about doing YouTube on YouTube. It's kind of like you filming him while I selfie it as we laugh at Dave.
I have a dream of getting rich writing a get rich quick book where the main instruction is how to write a get rich quick book.
Exactly. I want it. As long as you
Absolutely.
geek out about it while you do it, I'm in. That's it.
I love it. That was like a masterclass. Thank you, guys. That was awesome. That was way awesome. You still there, Mr. Jason?
Yes. Let's switch over to some Patreon questions.
Oh,
You wanna tell
sorry,
us,
undo. Patreon.
about Patreon?
Well, and these guys have seen it. Like, we started at this channel like with nothing, right? I mean, literally we had a camera that was Michelle's because she's a photographer. We bought a really cheap microphone, which we still use actually.
Mhm.
And we made our lights. We built that little backdrop in Will and Michelle's basement, and we started filming videos. Early on, we added some plants, and it has really been the support of Patreon that has allowed our channel to just grow and expand and increase our capabilities. I mean, things like this are the result of trips we've been able to take. Our trip to Tinley, is where I met most of these guys. Dave was the only one I.
Anyone, $100. That's pretty cheap for a sweaty shirt with a bunch of signatures on it.
Are we back? It might have lagged for a second. Are you guys seeing us clearly? All right. Patreon. Let's do it.
Patreon. All right. So Jay Hovis says, "Hey Clint, love your videos. Is there a chance of a pixie frog video in the future?"
Oh, that is such a good question. We did cover them in our top 5 amphibians, or 5 of the best pet amphibians. And yeah, you better believe we're going to cover pixie frogs in hopefully the nearest future. Honestly, today we went to Gecko Daddy, and there's some pretty spectacular frogs there as well that we'll be covering in the near future. We got more frog videos planned because there'll be some rad frogs out there.
Yeah, those things were sweet. And just the building he had them in.
Oh,
I was blown away. Frog keepers are something else.
yeah.
Yeah, it's completely.
A lot of
It's like a
respect
science
for animals.
laboratory with little animals. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
All right.
All right. Another Patreon question from Tony Smith. Clint, have you ever thought of writing a book on reptile husbandry? If not, would you consider writing up a detailed care sheet for each of the reptiles you rate and review, and attaching a link on YouTube?
Oh, I've given that some thought. We might have some exciting news sometime in the future.
Obviously, you asked a good question because he was very quiet about that. There's something going on there.
All right, another Patreon question from Garrison Sims. Garrison says, "My wife and I have decided that we have the space and the money to someday keep an Asian water monitor. What are some rad intermediate animals that could help get our skill level up to the task of keeping a giant puppy lizard? Thanks in advance."
That's a good. I mean, honestly, if you were wanting, I mean, it's something you could jump into. If you wanted something simpler-ish, I mean, any semi-aquatic reptile is going to teach you a little bit about what you're in for. So if you've got a small semi-aquatic reptile, you'd get used to the idea of having to keep a water area clean and a land area and a basking spot. Other monitors like Ackies can teach you something about reading the behaviors of monitors, because taking a bite off of an Ackie is vastly preferred to taking a bite off of a large Asian water monitor. But you probably don't have to have those animals. Get those animals if you're excited about those animals. And what you might find is that something that's much simpler to keep, like an Ackie, might fill that monitor-shaped hole in your heart. And you don't need a giant Asian water monitor. But if you do, they're amazing. They're just big.
They're also, it's a very diverse group. And an animal like that is a massive commitment, well beyond whatever the purchase price of the animal is.
Yes.
So there are water monitors, actual water monitors. They may cost a little bit more because they're the type of animal you're going to be the only kid on the block that has one. But I mean, by the time you're building enclosure and investing in proper diet for an animal like that, something like a coming guy monitor or the new chalice. I don't know how much you like to shout everyone else out, but
of course,
John Adranya is working with a lot of basically half-sized water monitors that are like Skittles colored. They're incredible. And so that's a really good place to start. They are water monitors, but they're from localities that grow to be a little bit smaller. Still a big lizard, but you're talking about 3 to 4 feet instead of 5 to potentially 7 of, some of the, the Malaysians and Javans and stuff that you see in captivity.
And simcontainer.com is where you can get a hold of John Adranya. Very knowledgeable guy, very
Extremely knowledgeable. When you go and buy either your first reptile or your 100th reptile, the cost of the reptile itself is actually often the cheapest expense that you're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're, jumping right out of the gate at getting a giant water monitor, you have to look beyond the cost of that water monitor, like what Garrett said. Caging for a giant water monitor, it takes a lot of space and it takes a lot of money.
Sounded like they had that.
Yeah, it sounds like, that's one of the things that hopefully our video is prepared for.
Well, for everybody else that is out there that doesn't have that ready.
Mm-hmm.
And diet is definitely something to really focus on. Another great thing about going to somebody who's a specialist like John, he can get you accurate information, because there's a lot of crazy misinformation on stuff like that. And you can mess your monitor up pretty easily with an improper diet. So talk to an expert and make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't want it to get fatty liver disease and crash after 2-3 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you guys. That was awesome. See, they know everyone.
The coolest thing about the reptile industry for me is knowing who has the best stuff everywhere. Because we don't want to plan for something like an Asian water monitor and then just go get some imported thing that's going to have respiratory disease. And, we were talking about this with the wild collected monkey frogs versus captive bred.
Yes.
And it was $200 for a captive bred, but it was $80 for a wild caught. And I said, well, $200 is cheap to have a long-term pet that brings you great joy, but $80 is really expensive to be sad and watch an animal die in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's really expensive. So go to the specialist, go to the biggest nerd about that particular thing. And that's why I say with Asian water monitors, I think John Adranya has the most long-term and diverse knowledge about that species. He breeds them. That is absolutely 100% the guy to go to. And the coming guy and the new chalice. My favorite's new chalice, but they're kind of weird. Everyone else likes the coming guy. Those are fantastic water monitors to keep. So
awesome. That was awesome.
Okay, we'll do one more Patreon, and then we'll switch over to Super Chat.
One more Patreon.
Eileen Sidney says, "Hi, Clint. Thanks for being such a joy during the lockdown gloom. Now you've got an online following. How has your life changed?"
That is such a good question. I've actually been talking about that a lot lately. It's the darndest thing, because in some ways my life seems pretty much the same. I go out on the street. No different. I think one of the biggest things, we have moments like when we get to do these live streams, and especially when I've been doing the face-to-face, or when I've gone to a reptile expo, that it's like, wow, something major has changed. I mean, the fact that I get to go herping with these guys, obviously something major has changed because I not long ago knew no reptile people. And then even before we started our YouTube channel, I knew 2. 3, Michelle, if you consider yourself to be a hardcore reptile person, you were the 3rd reptile person I knew. And so I just, I've known almost no reptile people. Now all of a sudden I'm meeting people that are legends in the reptile community. And things like the reptile room and just, like I finished school on kind of doing what I was planning to do before this channel ever existed. And I get done and I'm like, I don't even think that's what I really want to do. What I really want to do is continue to spread this message and I love to learn things and I love to share the things that I learn with other people. I never would have imagined that there would be so many people who would want to listen. And so I think more than anything, my just vision of what is possible and where we can go in the future is incredible. And having you guys stand behind me, especially starting a project like the Reptile Room and then going through COVID with a project like the Reptile Room, these sort of things would never happen if it weren't for you guys. But they are happening.
If I can add to that, I can see that. And I can see your guys like permeating saturated influence in the Reptile Room. I mean, you can just feel the love and the support. And that room is cool because it's like your vision, your dream, but it's like a community effort. It really makes, this sphere of influence a better place. So good job to you guys because it's clearly apparent to me, and it's my first time ever being there, just the kind of crowdsourced support that you guys have for this guy. So kudos to you guys. That job well done.
It never would have happened without them. And I just feel this sense of responsibility and just gratitude every time I'm there.
It's all he's been talking about, really. I mean, it's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So good job.
Thank you, guys. Have we more super chat?
All right, let's jump over to super chats. Which, by the way, Tony Smith is still the standing leader on the shirt.
You might get to keep the shirt on your back.
You can keep the shirt.
I'm still signing it though.
These guys are gonna sign it regardless. So yeah, if I keep it, we're still getting signatures on it.
I want my signature on the only red Triple B shirt.
Yes. That was so generous of you. Thank you.
All right, let's see. IEC says, she sent the super chat, or they sent the super chat saying, are marginated tortoise considered to be a beginner tortoise? Would you say you would get one?
Here's the thing I would say. So this is our marginated tortoise is a beginner tortoise. I would say given the lifespan of tortoises, there is no such thing as a beginner tortoise. There are tortoises that require huge amounts of space and tortoises that require less huge amounts of space. And that's about how it works with tortoises. But I would say if you want a tortoise, don't work your way up to the tortoise you want. Get the tortoise you want.
Marginateds are very commonly wild caught as well. And there's a host of issues. So if you can find a good captive bred marginated, that'd be a good way to go. A better way to own a tortoise might be to join a turtle and tortoise society near you and adopt an adult, because most of the difficult issues you encounter right at the beginning for babies, they're much more sensitive. If you can, study care requirement, get an adult, it also gives you the benefit of knowing what you're getting into with the adult size, because that's a big thing with tortoises. Even a tortoise that's only this big requires a much larger enclosure than a lizard of the same size, say.
And there are turtle and tortoise clubs all over the nation.
Everywhere. And there's
people
so many.
The people that are involved with them are so turtle and tortoise oriented that the amount of information you'll get from them is just going to be incredible. And like you said, a lot of them have adoption programs, and that's probably the best place to go.
That's actually what we recommended in our sulcata video. It's like, we haven't done that many tortoise videos.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want a giant tortoise, get a giant tortoise. There are tons of them that need rescued. You probably don't need to raise it up from a baby.
Yeah, and chances are if you raise it up from a baby, you're going to have to hope that your kids are ready to take it on or something, because they live a long time.
Yeah.
You might be stepping in to save somebody else whose kids were not able to do that. They would really love to see that long-term pet, be done well. But marginated specifically, most of them are bought and sold and flipped, and it's very much wildlife trade. and that is not kind to the animal.
That's very stressful, and that's when you run into problems because that stress is going to adversely affect their health. But, regardless of if it's a marginated or a Greek tortoise that, is kind of the stereotypical beginner tortoise, whatever tortoise you guys want to get, just make sure to really thoroughly do your research and your homework and talk to other people that have kept that species that you guys want to keep. And keep in contact with that person. Don't just ask them a couple of questions. Ask them if you can, keep in contact with that person long after you get your tortoise for any problems that do arise. So,
and that's another reason why it's important to go to a breeder. Get a captive bred animal from a great breeder that won't steer you wrong.
that's correct.
That's such good advice. Mr. Jason.
Awesome. All right. Amar sent another super chat. Speaking of awesome super chat, he says, was asking about the beer so I could buy you lads a round. Big fan of all ye. Anyways, use this money to buy a round of drinks on me. Get anything but Budweiser. Clint maybe have a Guinness
No
on
problems
me.
there.
Scout, not beer.
Thank you so much, Amar. That was so generous of you.
Cheers, mate.
Hey,
He
cheers.
is just a great guy. We've chatted a few
Well, we're
times.
gonna have to go do this.
He's just the best.
Next time location sponsor us, we'll all come out and we'll have that round at your house. We'll do the live stream from there.
Ireland
big
is
deal.
actually my favorite country in the entire world because of the people. Of all the places I've been so far, it's taken the top place of countries in the world because of the people there. That's the experience I had with Ireland.
I would love to come to Ireland and go herping for snakes. So let's just keep
You
that
would
in mind.
probably be as successful as we have on this trip.
Yeah, we
We
saw
should
one.
all go do that because this experience was so good. Let's just do it again.
entire island and haven't seen it.
I actually really like that as a concept for one of your videos. That would be fantastic. Have
It
you ever
would
done
be.
one like that?
Where
Go
I've
around
gone
the world
to an
and
island
completely
devoid of
skunk out?
snakes. And,
Yeah, and then just listen to the comments.
Funny enough, when I go to these destinations, I am like panicked until I actually find what I'm looking for to make a video out of, because that's a lot of work and a lot of money and a lot of hassle sometimes to get to that location. And then if I don't find the retic, I have no video, or if I don't find this, I have no video. So I think that yes, we should make a fill in the blank snake in the wild in Ireland video.
I love it.
Because that,
I
think,
It's 135 degrees out there.
I think we scared Brian away.
Yeah,
Either that or he's going to Ireland.
yeah.
He needs a good
Brian's headed to Ireland.
I'm back. They got the border closed. I couldn't make it.
Oh, man. Well, let's go see if there's more coffee in the kitchen.
Herping in Ireland. I think it's a fun idea. Pub herping in Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
Clint's having another glass of milk. What a weirdo.
All right. Let's see. Leanne's Critter Corner sent another super chat.
Thank you.
It says, let's see. She said something else before. Let's see. She says, please lead the Herping Club outing to South Africa. I am a nature guide. I'll take you guys on a safari.
We're in.
See, I have a connection. I have a connection to present to you.
Boom.
Yes. That would be the greatest thing ever.
That's fantastic. Now all we need is someone who owns an airline.
Yeah.
If any of you own airlines, let us know.
Yeah, international travel's fairly straightforward these days, isn't it?
Super straightforward. Just get on the plane and go.
Yeah.
That is super generous, though.
Thank you for that.
That would be.
We'll have to rent a
awesome.
catamaran.
Yeah.
A yacht. Sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, a yacht.
Yacht.
Yes.
If anybody has a yacht we could borrow.
I want to drag behind on my bodyboard. Is that okay?
Yeah, we're trying to find some sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. If you can, get a hold of us on our social media, and we should talk about that.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Oh dear.
She had also mentioned in the chat that she knows Heidi really well.
Is what that?
She knows Heidi Pfeiffer. Really
Oh.
well. Heidi Pfeiffer.
Because those are the two reptile people in South Africa, potentially.
Who's that? Arno and
Yeah.
Heidi?
Yep.
Yeah, they're married, right?
That's cool. That's cool.
All right. We got another super chat from Tristan Powder. It says, Garrett, my tiny retics are quite disappointed that you were here in Utah and didn't come and visit them. LOL.
Oh, no!
Go home. Go home. Fail.
Oh.
Well, you got 12 hours.
Ah,
You're
Well,
not
for those of you guys that don't know Tristan, he has, he's a young guy. He's getting into it. He's doing it right. He has, any morphs that he have are like 5th, 6th generation, highly selectively bred, the kinds of animals that the rest of us have worked our entire lives to see one day. And then on the other end of it, he has some of the rarest, like he just got a Tombalongan Island retic, which nobody's ever heard of those. There's only one pair ever imported to the United States. And so he got one of those from us earlier this year. And it is probably one of the coolest, of the dwarf and super dwarf articulated pythons, except that you can never get them. You'll just never see one. You've never heard of one. Stinks because they're stinking rad.
Well, you could have seen one if you had stopped by on this trip.
I'm sorry, Tristan. Just come to Pittsburgh.
And bring the snakes.
I'll supply the snakes. You just show up. Yeah.
All right. Sherry LBW.
Jerry!
In a follow-up to her garter snake super chat, she says, mine came from a semi-local breeder, all sub-adult female.
That's so cool. That's so
Nice.
cool. Thank you for supporting local breeders.
Semi-local. Oh.
Let's see, Dragon Fan 0021 sent an awesome super chat saying, hey, Clint, it's Hillary, the one who sent you the chameleon plush.
Oh, I love that so much. I showed that off.
To you. We in the reptile family say hello to all of you talented guys.
Well,
Hi, Hillary.
thank you, Hillary. I was
Hello.
showing off that plush just yesterday when they were all in the reptile room because it is so cool. And I love the way that it magnets on so it can hang out on my shoulder. I'm always tempted just to walk around there all day. But it is in the reptile room on our shelf. Expect to see it in future videos.
Awesome.
No big
Hi,
deal.
Hillary.
And
Thank you.
Carter sent another super chat saying, posted a video about African house snakes last week. So, you guys can check that out.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
What? Who now? What?
Jacob Newman sent a super chat saying, I can't join for the live stream today once again, but I got another appointment with you on Monday, Clint. So I'll see you then. Have a super rad day.
I am having the best time. Like, it is incredible getting to meet with you guys even one time, but the people that I get to meet with 2 and 3 and more times, like, after a while, I mean, we are just friends hanging out, talking about Star Wars or whatever nerdy stuff there. We want to, and it's just been so much fun. So much fun. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
If anyone is interested in joining as making the appointment with Clint, we put a link inside the chat.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Jason.
Okay. Game of Morse sent a super chat saying, got a challenge for you. Come up to our little Rio geckos, new cows, ball pythons. In return, we live in Bigfoot country.
In Bigfoot country? Is that?
That's NorCal. That's our territory.
Oh. That sounds pretty rad.
Bigfoot, best pet reptile?
Arguably.
I
There it
can
is.
see it now.
Look, evidence. I'm just not sure if Bigfoot was actually that woolly.
You should see my back.
All right, for the biggest super chat of the day, you get to see Dave's back.
I feel like Tony's gonna come in and say, keep it on.
And everybody's gonna autograph it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, how come your super chat went
We've
to
never had
zero?
$1 million super chat before.
Poor Dave.
No,
Bigfoot does exist, absolutely.
He's a herper.
All right. Let's see. Amanda Cook sent a super chat. Remember Amanda Ramen? She said, archaeology is my day job. So if you guys come down here again, I can give you a tour of some sites, and you can show me how to herp. LOL.
What's the date?
Wait.
Archaeology is her day job.
Oh.
So she would show us some sites, and we can show her some herping. Hang on, I'm gonna.
Super cool.
I want to show her a thing that we found.
The ones that you guys are finding are probably harder to find, but way easier to catch.
Yeah. I just want to show you a picture. It's a kind of a spoiler, but it's something that Garrett and I found when we were hiking around down there, and it's just like there's more to it than this. But it was pretty amazing. So if you want to tell us more about this right now, that would be unbelievably cool. Look at how rad that is. Isn't that special? That is such a special thing.
I'm actually super interested. So if you know anything about it, it was in St. George. And if you could just, like, my email is Garrett, GARRETT @reachoutreptiles.com. I'd love to know, or send it to Clint. He can forward it to me. That would be, because I really want to know about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And chat, if you have stuff to tell us about it, tell us here too. Like, we'd love to share it with everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Bigfoot has a 0 out of 5 on findability. Fortunately, that's not a category. Yeah, but it is.
Who you ask?
It's difficult to get one anywhere, especially captive bred.
That's true. That's very, very true.
I don't think I feel ethical.
Natasha Peterson sent a super chat saying, finally a Patreon. Who needs Amazon Prime anyway?
Oh, thank you so much. They sacrificed their Amazon Prime account to become Patreon.
Wow.
That
All
is
the better content is here. It's
Wow.
fine.
that is so kind. Thank you so much.
All right. Aurora Exotics sent a super chat saying, much love to some of my favorite reptile people. Thanks for doing what you do. Clint, give Gus a treat for me.
Give him a what? A treat?
For me.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
What about us? Do we get a treat?
Aurora is actually one of my patrons, so thank you.
No big deal. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys can eat what Gus has, right?
Yeah, it'll be the same treat.
She is awesome.
You know, going back one, I think maybe you should offer free next day shipping to anyone that gives up their Amazon Prime account to join Patreon. That's
Next
fair.
day shipping? What am I shipping?
Yeah, free
The
next day
t-shirt.
shipping. Your t-shirt.
Oh, this. Oh, our t-shirt.
Yeah, your t-shirts. That's only fair.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting it from Prime. You should get it from Patreon.
I agree. Next day on anything. To anywhere in the world.
You heard it here first.
Hand delivered.
It's like a commercial.
All right. Let's see. Mortimer Putnam sent a super chat saying, so cool to see you all, Clint. If I got another meeting, could you help me write the education programs we talked about? I'd love your input.
Absolutely, Mortimer. It was such a delight talking before. I would love to help you with that. That'd be stupendously fun. Honestly, this is something. If any of you guys need like tutoring in evolutionary biology, schedule a Zoom chat, like, or help writing educational programs for reptiles. Like, I would love doing that kind of thing. I mean, honestly, I'm just excited to get to meet you, talk to you guys, and like, if you guys have things you want to talk about, even if they're not super reptile related, great. Let's chat.
All right, let's jump over to a Patreon question.
Patreon.
Stephanie Reeser says, hey Clint, I was wondering if there is a top new species you would recommend for a beginner.
A top new species that I would recommend for a beginner?
As in, like, unknown to science?
Bigfoot.
Let's see. We've been covering quite a few. Honestly, it seems like people are starting to have some pretty decent success with Peter's banded skinks. Once those are available captive bred in large numbers, that thing is going to be unbelievable. Unbelievably cool.
But newt.
Oh, newt!
As in salamander.
I got that.
A top
Just narrowed your focus a lot.
a top newt species for beginners.
That's hard.
Yeah, amphibians in general have a level of complexity to them that's a little bit higher than some of the more basic reptiles that you might keep. And so And newts are often a little bit smaller. Like there are probably some larger salamanders that are going to be a little bit hardier and a little bit more tolerant of some mistakes. So you might want to consider going the salamander route. I love the Eastern newt. I don't know if I'd necessarily say it's like beginner super easy, but they are super rad, and they get me excited. And then going on to salamanders, even some newt-sized salamanders, all the plethodontid salamanders, which are the most common salamanders in the world, they are lungless, which is stinking rad, and they shoot their tongue out of their mouth like a chameleon. So those are well worth looking into if you're looking into something that size. But again, not necessarily that easy. Something like a spotted salamander, which we've covered, tiger salamanders, those are going to be a little bit more tolerant of any sort of mistakes.
Blue spot, Jefferson's.
I love blue spots.
Me too.
I just go classic oxalotl.
Yeah, that's a really simple one.
Good call.
To me, it's almost just like a weird fish more than it is like a.
But they can get glow in the dark ones now.
Yeah, now you can get a glow in the dark weird
Literally
fish.
bioluminescent oxalotls that they breed in captivity now. Super cool. And the calico ones are awesome. And they have a high occurrence of chimera. Have you ever seen them? Split down,
Right
different
in the
sets of DNA, left and right.
So quite bodacious.
Mm.
Brian's like, leave me out of this. I don't want
I just find newts in the wild and I just leave them there. That's my newt experience.
Yep. He's newt to it himself.
I once was turned into a newt.
I got better. All right.
Okay. Another Patreon question from Ramen Reptile is, do you know any good references for Berger or Schneider skink care? I recently picked one up, but I've struggled with finding more advanced husbandry info. Thanks.
Okay, so Schneider's skink care. I don't know a specific care sheet to go to, but I bet there are a lot of even a lot of the blue tongue groups on Facebook are actually full of just skink fanatics generally. So you could start asking around there about where they would recommend for a good care sheet, and just if you can find a group that is specific to Schneider skinks, that would be the best place I would think to start.
Some of that's a lot of. I think it's concerning for a lot of keepers is that some of those obscure but kind of relatively inexpensive lizards that are imported in mass, like Schneider skinks, they come out of Egypt. But there's not a lot of information on them, and there really needs to change.
Mm-hmm. Reptiles is a resource that's really working on, creating a database like that. I just don't know if they've covered the Schneider skink just yet. She puts so much time and effort into every single care guide that she puts out that she doesn't put them out fast because they're good.
This might be like pro level searching tip or whatever, but try searching in German on the computers. That they keep a lot of those kinds of skinks.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of those things go to Europe, and the German husbandry is very good in general with that kind of stuff. If you can search in German, find the German sites, and then have them converted.
Yeah, it's very easy to copy and paste and go to Google and be able to speak to somebody in a different language these days, even if you don't know how to speak that language at all.
Yeah, or find somebody in Germany or that speaks German who can search the internet for you on that. A lot of times those obscure species that come in like that, Americans kind of just use them as disposable pets.
That's what I'm talking
But
about.
the German culture, they seem to really be like, all right, if I'm going to keep this, I'm going to do it. And if there's no information, I'm going to document everything, and we're all work together. So if you can search German forums, you might be able to find some.
Das ist gut.
Ja, ja.
That's fantastisch, nein.
Ja, das ist gut, ja.
All right, another Patreon question. This one is from Robert Watson. Robert says, hi, Clint. Thoughts on a theoretical head-to-head of ball python versus Woma python? What, in your opinion, does one species have over the other, particularly hardiness towards mistakes, cool enclosure design possibilities, and the rad factor of the snakes themselves?
That is great. I'm just going to go real quick on this one. One of the big differences is going to be feeding response. That the Woma's probably going to be a monster for you, and the ball python may or may not be. The enclosures, depending on how you choose to keep them, you've got a lot of options with both. And there's going to be some similarities. I think, things are going to be a little drier with the Woma. And as far as which one's more likely to bite you, the Woma is going to win that category. Let's see. Do you guys have any thoughts on that one?
I mean, no, not really.
Yeah, well, the Womas can be very good if you get them as babies, you work with them just like anything else. But they have a very heightened feed response.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're worried about snake bites, you need to really have a good system for how you take them out of the cage. And it's easily possible never to get bit by one. But,
Oh, yeah. I mean, Gus has a powerful feeding response, but if you know how to manage it,
right,
life is great.
Yeah, we'll almost calm down quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you work with them.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a tough question because ball python, they're kind of the kittens of snakes, and
Yeah. It would be an interesting head-to-head. I honestly don't know which would win. Both are very, very good pet snakes, and so we might have to just play that game someday.
I think Womas would be hardier as well.
Yeah.
Less disease prone.
Well, if for no other reason than the fact that they're not that closely related to the other pythons that we generally see, and so a lot of the diseases won't jump.
That's true.
Neat. That is a neat question.
When a man
Or you can get the hybrid. Woma
Can't
balls.
keep his mind on nothing else.
If you haven't seen them, they're not available, but they're super cool. If you're into that kind of thing.
There's a hybrid?
Oh yeah, Woma balls. Look it up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's crazy because of how distantly related those are. I challenge you to find more distantly related species.
How would that even happen? They wouldn't even recognize the pheromones from one another.
I mean, a ball python though.
It's a snake.
You could
Silly
breed a ball
snakes.
python with a turtle or
a garden
stick.
hose.
It may just not. Yeah,
What makes you think
be
of habit?
viable.
Yeah.
But they're pretty cool. If you've never seen them, a quick Google internet search is
Yeah, I did not know that exists.
Yeah.
If you can't make up your mind,
get both in one.
yeah, go to the wall.
Two snakes in one.
I hit a wall in my
Yeah.
decision making. Here he is.
Crazy.
Oh my lord.
All right.
Okay, we have another Patreon question from this one's from Aquarimax X, Russ Wilson. He says, "Hi Clint, my red-sided garters from Dawn are not quite a year old, and yet I saw a lot of mating activity starting in late June. Other than an increase in girth of the female and the skin between the scales starting to distend, what signs of imminent birth should I look for in the coming weeks?"
That is a great question. I'm not a huge expert on this, but I would say one of the things that may indicate imminent birth would be a potential drop-off in feeding response just as they run out of body space. Any other thoughts?
Keep a good tab on her shedding cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That'll lead you to clues as well.
No clue. Don't know.
Neato.
Make sure you're ready for those babies.
Yeah.
Humble.
Yeah.
Baby garter.
That's pretty exciting. I'm excited for you. What a thing.
Okay, the Fitzhenry family says, "Hey Clint, do you think you could talk a while about black-headed python? They don't have heat pit, so could you feed them snakes? But I don't like that. Ever had any experience with them?"
So black-headed pythons, I love them so many muches. For those of you who are not familiar with them, they're from Australia and they look like a colossal black-headed Woma. They're huge and I adore them. They honestly, the Womas also, they're built a lot like a colubrid snake, even though they're a python. They're kind of longer and leaner. Their head's a little bit different. And I really, really love the black-headed pythons. And because they don't have heat pits, you can feed them a lot more like you feed colubrid snakes, where, you need to thaw out your feeders, but they don't need to be like just the right temperature to get their attention. And it seems like black-headed pythons actually do eat some snakes.
That's their normal diet.
Yeah.
That's why they don't have the heat pits, is because they don't need another reptile doesn't have the heat signature. They don't need those pits to find their prey. But in the wilds of Australia, that's what they're eating. They're eating lizards. They're eating snakes.
Yeah, lizards I knew for sure. So they're kind of like the indigos of Australia.
Correct.
And that's the way I've always thought of them.
Right.
So absolutely they would be thrilled on that diet.
But in a captive situation, don't feed them snakes. The reason being is that snakes are expensive. They're going to get, they're going to get off of rodents, which are accessible, which are inexpensive. And you don't want that to happen. You want them to be on, the best food that you can offer that doesn't break the bank.
Consistently.
Right. So you can go out and you can buy a bunch of corn snakes and
And even the biggest corn snake I've ever seen wouldn't be a tremendous meal for an adult black-headed python.
You'd have to feed several.
Yeah, you need to be getting like small Burmese pythons out of the Everglades to really be consistently.
There we go. Just release blackheads in the Everglades.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's exactly
the old woman that swallowed the fly
That's
solution.
right. That's right.
Yeah, and or king cobras.
King cobra makes more sense.
Well, eventually you're gonna have to get the blackheads out of there. We'll wait until then.
Okay, good.
Well, get the cobras in there to get rid of the blackheads after the blackheads get rid of the berms, and then
it's 135 degrees out there, man.
This is going south. I'm going to go back to the real blackhead. You have two varieties to choose from, the Western and the Eastern. And again, if you go with a great breeder who can help you along the way, I would recommend Jason Hood for blackhead pythons. For sure. That's a great place to go. But one thing that you really want to make sure of, regardless of who you get them from, is that they are an established eater, because the babies are very, very difficult to get started eating. And then once they do, they're like problem free for life. They're basically, you said they're kind of like the indigos. I always said they're like a gigantic Cal King with an absolute ferocious feed response, which I find exhilarating. I love it. Probably not for everyone. If you don't want a snake that chases you out of the cage when it's food time, just watch. But I mean, they're super cool. So, but it's almost impossible to turn that feed response off. They're crazy. I love it.
Oh,
yeah, Jason Hood is your breeder for those.
This is so good.
Awesome. The last picture in question is from Todd Danielson, and he is actually referencing the picture that we have for the live stream of all four of you guys standing around the tortoise that you guys found while herping. He noticed that everyone is wearing their own respective merch except Brian. He says, why isn't Brian wearing a Triple B shirt? Did he not get the memo?
I may just be the least self-promoting of the group.
Says the guy who has two Triple B t-shirts.
Making up for it now. What do you I'm actually wearing somebody else's hat.
To be fair, he's trying really hard to sell his shirt right now.
Yeah.
So
and the leading bidder is like, I don't even want it.
When I walked out of the bedroom this morning and I already had this on, I didn't know Garrett was wearing that. I was like, well, okay.
Twitters.
Hey, just an idea for those of you guys who really would be interested in continuing to support Clint's reptile room in a big way. If you win the shirt, Clint is here. If you don't want it, have us sign it, and he can throw it up in the reptile room somewhere. Maybe in the back room, behind racks or something.
Dust rag.
That would be super cool.
If you ever use the bathroom,
that's right.
Yeah. You can see.
Yeah, think of it as the practical joke that you sponsored and helped Clint's reptile room with a nice high bid of getting Brian's shirt off his back.
You can. These are great ideas. There's a lot of fun things coming. These guys have had some amazing suggestions for me about the reptile room too. One of them, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it a little bit. It was this is an idea that Garrett had that I'm actually really excited about, because one of the things is, we've had to use a lot of our funding just to stay in the building during this COVID-19 time, and it's led to where I feel like I can't necessarily build all the enclosures the way that I want to build them right now. And something that Garrett suggested that, especially if you're a person that produces enclosures, would be to, that you could sponsor an enclosure for an animal in there, and like everybody can see it. And, and I would love to show off awesome enclosures that really do these animals justice. And so we'll get more information on that in the future. But that was a really exciting.
Well,
idea.
I mean, obviously you guys know this. Clint has such an amazing platform, and you know that he's just genuinely enthused about everything. What an incredible opportunity if you build custom enclosures, or even if maybe you have a pet store or something like that. And can you imagine, having that kind of sponsorship opportunity? It would be very cheap from a marketing budget standpoint. Like I've said, I will sponsor a Superdorf enclosure for you, and it sounds great to him, but for me, I mean, I guarantee you, I'm getting the better benefit because I can hook it up, really cool cage, maybe $1,500 value or something, get my sticker on there, and then everybody in the world that falls in love with these animals the way Clint already is in love with the Superdorf that he has. The logical next step is, hey, where do I go to get this? Or I love those cages. Where do I go to get those? So if you are a breeder of a certain species that he happens to already keep, that wants to sponsor an enclosure for that and get some exposure, with the animals and stuff like that. I mean, you spent all weekend talking about Josh's frogs. You know what I mean? And all the cool stuff that they've done. They really, like, some of the neat little geckos, enclosures, and everything. They're all from Josh's frogs over there. And it really, it makes me think about it, puts them at the front of mind for if that, when I see, oh, what a cool gecko. Where'd you get it? Oh, Josh's frog. That's great. You know what I mean? Like, they did such a good job setting up. I wonder if they'd set something like that up for me so that I can enjoy that at home. So it's a really good opportunity, I think, for you guys. I'm taking advantage of it for sure. You guys do what you want.
Well, I'm really excited because I want to see this place up and going. The vision that I think we've all had for it, and this is something we're doing together, and I'm so grateful for everything, and that's an opportunity he brought up, and I'm like, yes, we should open up that opportunity for people that want it, because it's a win-win situation. But do we have any more super chats, or
we had 2 super chats since the last time.
Okay, then we won't end just yet.
A super chat, an awesome super chat from Bees, Balls, and Exotics is, if any of you are ever up in the Pacific Northwest, don't hesitate to reach out. Would love to take you guys to dinner and out herping and check out some amazing local collections. Also, Bigfoot is around here.
Yeah, nice. Herping for Bigfoot.
I'm overdue for a trip to the Northwest, so I definitely appreciate that. I believe I got your sticker on my cart in my snake room as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I know Leisha has always wanted to go to the Northwest, and we've never been able to make it happen. So
neither have I. Yeah.
Maybe this is the time.
Beautiful place.
I'm in.
Especially if we can find Bigfoot. Can you imagine? That'd be such a great video.
I feel like it would go viral.
It seems like it would have potential.
I want to find Puget Sound garter snakes.
That's a great idea. Well, but it would be a heck of a video. It'd be like, people would be watching it and be like, that really is Bigfoot. Holy cow. And then they'd be like, no. Dave Kaufman with his shirt off. But then they're like, that's actually more exciting.
I will have you know that people do enjoy my musk.
There may be a breeding population of Bigfoot somewhere, but there's just the one Dave Kaufman.
Until I find that breeding population.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, dear. It says Dave wants to find what? He wants to find Puget Sound garters, correct?
Yes.
That was a good one.
Right. Let's see, Amanda Cook with Ramen Reptiles.
Amanda, you're amazing.
Another super chat with the answer to your question about the big rock you guys found. She says it looks like a Fremont-style petroglyph, approximately 300 to 1300 or 1300 AD.
That's what I said.
Than most Fremont-style, however. These have more triangular bodies. Send me the pic, and I can do more research.
Wow,
that would be awesome.
That's pretty. Wow.
It's gonna be.
Now it looks
Share
like
that
I
with
climbed
me.
up
That
there.
would be awesome.
Yeah, and you have some footage of it that's probably going to be in your video. Is that correct?
I do. On my channel, I'll put a quick little trip thing together, and so you can see more because we got some kind of 3D footage of it.
Yeah, I've got some footage too. But I have a feeling Garrett's video will be out before ours will.
I don't know about that.
But yeah, we'll try to get some because we're amazing, and yeah, I wanna learn more. Thank you for responding again. My goodness.
That's really cool.
All right, we got a few more super chats slipped in, so we're gonna keep going. Let's see. Bees Balls Exotics says, I got the best spots for garters, and I got stickers for all of you. Brian, you called my stickers scary.
He's got the mask on the skull, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah,
Bandana on the skull.
that's hardcore. And they know the spot for your garters?
Yeah.
Giddy up.
I don't have that sticker. Send me one. I'll throw it on my sticker cabinet. That would be great. Yeah, I'd love that.
I don't even have a sticker cabinet. What am I
Neither do
doing with
I.
my life?
I don't know.
I've got some stickers.
I don't know.
I need a cabinet.
I know.
I like the way
No, I
Freedom
just-
Breeder did it. They put a big thing on the wall and they say, send in a sticker, we'll put it on the wall. And then everybody gets that promotional spot. And it's kind of cool because you can see just how connected you are.
Wow,
in the
that is
community.
really cool. I would like to do that. I would like to, let's buy one cabinet, split it in half.
We'll each sticker it.
I'm saying, IKEA.
What was that?
It'll fall apart into two pieces. You take half, I take half. Stickers.
When we get it, it'll be in 20 pieces.
That's right.
We'll put it together and then it'll fall apart in 2 pieces. We'll
That's
each get
exactly what I'm
some
saying.
pieces. I like it. I like it.
Shop IKEA, folks.
Hmm.
All right.
Never
Alright.
a dull moment.
Benjamin Bramble sent a super chat saying, is there anything in the reptile hobby that is considered common knowledge that any of you guys disagree with?
Just
No.
about.
Yeah, just about everything. Everything that's common. If it's common,
Yeah.
yeah, disagree.
Holy smokes. Common knowledge that you disagree with.
God, I have to really think about that because we don't just.
I have a good one, and it has evidence, but I don't have any for you. There's common knowledge. There's many species of reptiles that do not require UV.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And there probably are some that are fossorial, especially, that are hidden during the day, but even a lot of nocturnal animals.
But there's a lot of evidence that UV has tremendous benefits for the
Yeah,
reptiles.
even in small doses, especially, probably.
Yeah. That's a big thing that we are moving towards because our species is one that everyone considers does not need UV.
Well, but there are a lot of nocturnal animals that hide in plain sight, so they're still exposed to the sun all day long.
Yeah.
You know, they're not under a rock or something. You know, there are some that are probably truly fossorial. They're underground and they're not seeing the sun. But other than that, there are probably benefits. You know, very few that I think it would do them harm.
Yeah, well, the vitamin D synthesis is obviously the number one.
Especially with
right.
even with fossorial stuff. I mean, they have a massive breadth of different dietary things that they
That
were
we're
seeing
not
in the
giving
wild that help them to synthesize that, and we don't give them that UV can actually help make up for some of the other.
That's a really good point that I
There's
haven't
a
thought about.
ton of evidence for that.
For sure. You know,
So,
that is a really good question. I'm sitting here trying to think of the answer. You know, an example, but I'm drawing a blank.
Can you expand on that?
Well, you see, when you don't have a thought in your head,
And get your mouth open.
you know,
Yes.
it's-
But you begin to speak.
You
gotta wrap it up
but
somehow.
you're not saying nothing.
Let's
yeah,
see.
that's
What's
the one that comes to mind for me.
some other common knowledge?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, it
that's a
really
really.
is. I'm trying to think like what is considered to be common knowledge.
But see, that's the point. If it's common knowledge, do we disagree on it?
Yeah.
Well,
Hog
there's a
noses
lot.
are venomous. No,
I mean,
they're
there's
not.
a ton of common knowledge about reptiles that's completely false. But within the reptile industry, that becomes a much more interesting question because these are reptile enthusiasts that have it wrong.
Snakes are slimy and they chase you. Do you agree?
Right.
Yeah.
That would be one.
Only if
for-
you pulled it out of some slime and you've got a feeder.
Certain parts of the world, that's common knowledge.
Rattlesnakes are poisonous. That's one of the big ones.
Right.
Or
Uh,
the venomous snakes are poisonous.
Yep. That let's see. That terrapins are a good group. Garbage. Absolute garbage.
I think you have to tune into Dave's channel to get that inside joke.
Wrist walkers. How dare they?
We actually,
English.
if you're a hardcore fan of this channel, we released a video very, very long ago about the distinction between turtles, tortoises, and terrapins, and I get to talk about garbage in there too. So you can all be in, but definitely check out Dave's video because it's a winner.
Well, I just had the inside joke in
Yeah.
there.
Garbage.
That's all we got for you.
I hope you're not disappointed with our responses to that. That was a really good.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about that for a couple of days now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
For
how about this one? I got one for you. This is a big one, especially in the ball python world. There's a big tub tank controversy.
I disagree.
You disagree with that? And like there are Facebook groups, for example, where if you talk about using a tank, you're kicked out. And there are other ones that if you talk about using a rack system, you're kicked out. So there'd be one. And I don't even know. I can see pros and cons to each. So I disagree with everybody who's super militant.
Yeah.
I don't like tanks simply because it is very difficult to maintain the environment in a tank.
The
Humidity and
especially
temperature.
the ambient temperature is very
Yep.
difficult to maintain. Unless you're keeping the entire room at the temperature that you want inside of a tank, then the glass is just so. I mean, if you're walking up to a window on a freezing cold day, heater's on nice inside your house, you go touch the window's freezing cold, even though it's nice and warm inside because the glass just doesn't maintain that ambient temperature.
But there are so many benefits to having, those kind of displays. Depending on the species, the species I work with could be kept either way, but I think there are tremendous benefits to an enclosure style arrangement over the tubs. Even where I do use tubs, usually like I use a Freedom Breeder 40, it's a 32-inch long tub that my baby snakes, which come out measuring 20 inches maybe, live in those. So there's plenty of space. I think the biggest thing with tubs is it's too small.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest argument against them, I think.
Yeah, I would disagree with anybody who's steadfast on either side of any controversial subject like that. Whatever the common knowledge is that you're super hard to know. It's this way. If you're not open to the idea that maybe the other side of the argument has some beneficial points to it, then that's what I disagree with. There's always going to be there's going to be good points on either side of any controversial subject like that.
Yep. Be nice to people you don't understand.
They might know something you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Like
See?
money, for instance.
Did a little justice to that great question.
Tried.
We did it.
Was there one more before we sign out?
A couple more. But evidently, Benjamin Bramble stumbled on the way to make sure the live stream keeps going by asking a tough question in the super chat.
Yes. Well played.
Keeps it going forever. Get your money's worth.
Right.
All right. Jingle Jangles sent a super chat saying, just a fun idea to throw out, a head-to-head between the common snapping turtle and the alligator snapper. Keep up all the good work y'all do.
I think that'd be a great video. What do you guys think? And I'm not saying that because we've already filmed it, because we have not. But what do you guys think of that idea? In fact, there was some discussion last night about potentially getting an alligator snapping turtle in the future.
We were just talking about it last night, yeah.
So, that's a good one. Looks like more questions are coming in. Super dwarf questions. I see them.
Uh-oh.
I see them coming. I see them
Uh-oh.
coming. Gear up.
Those are for you.
Yeah.
Right.
He has one. He just doesn't know the lineage, percentage, locality.
I'm gonna need some more coffee.
Hopefully.
All right. Another super chat from, this one's from Johnny R. He says, I know glass filters out UVB. Does plastic or plexiglass do the same?
One of you guys was teaching me, I think, that because glass does and plexi does not. Is that all plexis?
Does not what was the question?
Filter UVB?
Filter UVB.
That
is a
you
very
would probably know a lot about
You have
this.
a UV tester, don't you?
Well, he has. Don't you have a whole UV video?
Yes. So there is.
That's the best UV video on the internet. I'm not saying because he's sitting right there, but he actually worked in conjunction with Zilla Laboratories, who has a plethora of studies. I actually watched some of their studies happen the last time. That's the place I would say we should go.
Absolutely.
But they did a lot of this, and a lot of that evidence comes from them. So Dave has the video on that.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what. Thanks, brother. I can't remember exactly what I named that video, but it's UV in the title.
Search for Dave Kaufman, UV, and Zilla
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. I think
Maybe.
if you just do Dave Kaufman UV, that video might come up. But
I'm going to
There
play
it is.
this game. While we get our next question, I'm going to see if I can find.
That's the only video of Dave's I've ever sat down and watched.
is that right?
It was brutal.
And that's the one I'm not really that much in.
Yep. Well,
That's
go
why.
figure. Go figure. Also, common snapping turtle for the win. That's my opinion. Alligators. They look cool, but you can buy a poster of those. Yeah, if you want to interact and have a pet, common, 100%. Florida, maybe.
Oh yeah.
The always represented Florida snapper.
I don't know if there's enough distinction between the common and Florida to even worry about which one you have.
They're usually brighter color. I don't know that you can actually go find one, but
I used to see them for sale.
there's quite a few captive bred snappers now that is cool. Or doing like you're doing and adopting otherwise invasive ones. That's cool because that's a second lease on life. And it's an animal that did come from the wild, has that kind of history and stuff, but should not exist where it was living. So you're actually saving the turtle and the environment when you have something like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, having interacted with alligator snappers before and having my first interaction with a common snapper at your place last night, I can agree with the common snapper being fun to interact with than the alligators.
It's a different world. The alligators, if you just want to pull a turtle out of a tank and blow somebody's mind, alligator snapping turtle is the way to go. If you want a turtle that will keep you engaged for years and years, common snapping
I
turtles
kind
are
of feel
stinking rat.
sad for all the 200-year-old snapping turtles that just get pulled out of tanks and blow people's mind over and over
I
again.
can see that.
Yeah, I will say, coolest thing I've ever seen about an alligator snapping turtle. We had one at Prehistoric Pets. It was a monster, and it had a scar in its shell. And there was some other unrelated thing that we had done, but they ended up taking it to the vet, and the scar turned out to be from an Indian arrowhead that was lodged in its shell that they dated over 200 years old. I'd never heard of anything like that. That's insane. So when you have an animal like that with so much experience, can you imagine what the world looked like, what the southeastern United States looked like 200 years ago? And that animal was old enough to shoot with an arrow back then, big enough to shoot with an arrow. I just don't even want to touch it. It's like sacred. You know what I mean? I'm not down with that.
We actually discovered in a similar way the longevity of whales.
Yeah,
They
right?
started finding harpoons in whales that hadn't been made in hundreds of years.
Yeah, super cool stuff. Super cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I love them in the wild.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing. And seeing one in a zoo, super exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
But that zoo would have to be 200 years old, the captive bred
Oh, ideally.
alligators.
Ideally. I'm sure 200 years ago, all the zoos were dealing with captive bred.
I'm just saying, it doesn't excite me to take something like that and put it in a cage. It's like kind of like, you know what I mean?
What about Dave Kaufman? Would you put him
I
in a
would
cage?
definitely put Dave in a cage.
Yes.
There's times I've wanted to put Dave in a cage, and he always seems to break out of it.
I was just gonna say you put me. Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, the Bigfoot locality cross thing going on would be interesting.
This is dang good coffee.
If you do say so yourself.
Anyway, I'm going to go with common snapper, and the reason is they were one of the first turtles that I was catching as a kid. Plus, I'm big into morphs. I'm big into
The turtle morphs are
Right.
Snapper morphs are
and there's,
incredible.
I'm sure that there's alligator snapper morphs out there somewhere. There's stand to reason that they are, but there's just more in
There's some
common snappers.
gloriously beautiful common snapping turtle ones.
Right. But
Even the wild type. There's a lot of variation just in the wild ones.
We were talking about that yesterday.
there's something else about the common snapper that's a misconception, sort of a misconception. Is that
This is common knowledge with which Dave disagrees.
yeah. So common snappers are smaller, obviously, than alligator
But
snappers.
plenty big.
But yes, so the further north you get in their range, the bigger the snapping turtle gets. And it's a phenomenon called cold water giganticism. And what it is that the more surface space you have to your body, the more that you can absorb that warmth. And when you're in a Canadian lake, lake's cold pretty much throughout the year. So you need that bigger, surface space to heat yourself up. So the further north you get, these common snapping turtles are immensely huge. So every time I go to Canada, we see monsters up there that we don't see, even south of Minnesota.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I'm going with the common snapper.
They might be my favorite of all animals, so it's hard to disagree. But I personally think alligator snapping turtles are cooler looking. But common snapping turtles are also quite awesome looking, and that personality is just next level.
Yeah, I agree.
We might still do a video though. Spoiler alert. We already told you our opinions though.
I want to see head-to-head Brian Cusco, Dave Kaufman. Can we have that? Super chat it.
Yeah.
We don't want to see that. We don't
And
want
in what capacity?
Well, there's awesomeness, expensiveness, and difficulty. We can do it right now.
I am.
Let's hear it. I would love to hear you rate our mutual friends. That would be super cool to do live in front of so many people.
Don't
Yes.
do it, Clint.
Don't do it. Okay.
Do it. Please.
Well,
Somebody over here is
if
confident.
If I do it, I just sort of walk out of here with one friend instead of two.
I've known you longer, so
Pick which friend you want to
I
keep.
will fill in the gap because I would be so happy. You would be my best friend.
How would I score them on awesomeness? Let's just start there. Which
Well, you have to. I'm not.
Well,
answering.
I
I'm not
always
getting
give
into
a
this. I just
number.
wanna
I
see
always give a number of awesome things about each one.
I think Brian is awesomer than me.
You do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You kidding? Come on.
No comment.
Look at him.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I mean, if you're talking about reptile experiences, especially globally, that's pretty awesome. That's got to go this way
yeah.
for sure. But if you like someone who laughs on the floor till they can't breathe, it has to be him. But that's a catch-22 because he has to be here to get him to laugh.
It has to be.
So it's really hard to draw the distinction.
He is one of the best laughers ever.
I love to laugh. What can I say?
Yeah, like there are some people who they've got a level of just comfort with who they are to the level that they can just let
Make
go.
everyone
and
else
enjoy.
around them uncomfortable. Yes, that is him.
But they can just really let go and just enjoy everything about life, and that's who Brian is.
That is why Brian is awesomer than me.
You guys are so much nicer person.
You want to know though the thing that might make you compete quite nicely is the fact that Brian teases you nonstop the whole time you're together. And yet you keep bringing him on all of your adventures.
Absolutely.
Like that is a person that is okay with who he is.
Glutton for punishment, 5 out of 5.
I secretly hate myself.
Oh, I'm just here to cause trouble, guys. If you haven't noticed by now, just watch the last part of a long live stream.
So I've already figured out the rest of this head-to-head. Actually, awesomeness I think is a draw for very different reasons.
Okay.
They're both super awesome people in different ways. Expensiveness, though, if you think about what Brian requires in order to make a video, he's just happy being wherever he is, doing what he does, recording the moments, having his Zen moment on top of a hill.
Yes.
Costs nothing. Dave
Has to
must
go
travel the world.
Yes.
So Brian definitely takes the expensiveness category, for he is far less expensive. And when it comes to difficulty, this head-to-head goes to Brian Cusco.
Dave, how embarrassing.
Wait. What's with the difficulty? You're talking about like 26 takes versus half a take and call it good?
Or is it that Brian is the only one of the two of us that's toilet trained?
Yeah. Well, it might have a lot to do with just Brian's attitude of just going with the flow wherever it is. I've never met a less difficult person.
I would like to apologize
That's
to
why you
all
keep
of you
bringing them.
wonderful supporters of my friend Clint for my other friends. You know, we didn't know, we're not used to being
This was
so
your idea, Arnold.
live. We didn't know we're just not good at live like Clint is. He's like nice and supportive and says all the right things, and we're just back here like giving him bunny ears and farting on the couch. So I'm sorry.
Well, did we have one last super chat before we call it a day? We've hardly gone over, just dabbled past our normal time.
Yes. Let's see. This is from Rich S. He sent a super chat. He says, "Would a super dwarf retic make a good starter snake as a pet only, not for breeding?"
I think I'm qualified to answer that.
Video coming, right?
What did he say? Would make a good what snake?
Starter snake.
Oh, a starter snake. Okay, so the biggest disqualifying thing, there's two, okay? First of all, you actually have to get a super dwarf. They're probably, in this day and age where they're popular and they're trending, means that they're very commonly misrepresented.
Do you know of a place where you could get one confidently? Any places? One place that sells them?
I can think of at least one.
I don't like shouting out. Oh, what? Yeah,
I hear Reach Out Reptiles is the number one source of information for super dwarves on the internet today. That's not a biased comment. That's just a fact.
I do try really hard to get good stuff. So the very first thing is just make sure you get what you're paying for, you know.
An actual super dwarf instead of just a
actual-
small
Right.
baby mainland retic that will
Right,
not
that
be a
someone
super
tells you
dwarf.
to starve so that it never grows up. That's not cool. So that would be the first thing. The second disqualifying thing to a super dwarf being a good starter snake is that they are, I like to call them a very like work hard, play hard kind of snake. And similar to a blackhead python or a Woma, they have an extremely heightened food response. I view that as probably one of their best traits because it makes them extremely easy to keep properly. You can feed them anything and they will accept it. So you really don't have to worry about that. But it's definitely something that can be unnerving if you're not confident around the animal. And so, you know, you would have to be very disciplined yourself to have a good system of approaching the animal in the beginning and communicating clearly to the animal that you're not here to feed it when you're not there to feed it. And that's easy to do, but it takes consistent discipline. Those are the two biggest barring factors to keeping a super dwarf as even a first snake. Everything beyond that, I mean, I give them like a 5 out of 5 across the board.
Not for
You know.
availability.
Availability is difficult.
Cost.
Cost, but that's only if you're comparing it to, that depends on what you're comparing it to. Because, I mean, you could get a corn snake way cheaper or something like that. But for the rarity of what that animal is, they're probably one of the most affordable.
Very true.
You know, if you compare them apples to apples. So, and really, like, you can, if pet only, if you just want a good bloodline, small super dwarf cross, it doesn't have to be like pure locality, which makes the expense skyrocket. They start around $300.
That's very
which I think
reasonable.
is very reasonable for a python like that.
Yes.
So just so you know what you're getting into, that would be the way to go. And if you're sure you're not going to breed, this is my opinion. People will disagree with this, but I would say start with the male. They're cheaper, they're smaller, you get a lot more for your money, and availability is fantastic on those.
If you're not going to breed, I can't think why somebody would disagree with that. That is such good.
Well, because there's things about retics during breeding season being feisty and things like that, but it's actually irrelevant if you have a pet male by himself. It doesn't come into play.
Just don't spread pheromones around.
Yeah, but at any given time, you know, you're talking about the availability thing. In my experience, what I have 10-to-1 male to female ratio at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes the male retic smaller, more affordable, and constantly available.
That was as good an answer as you're going to get
Like
to
I
that
said,
question.
not going to find a better answer elsewhere.
Video coming potentially. So gear up.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Mike.
Awesome.
Love to talk about that. Obviously.
We had another super chat sneak in from Natasha Peterson saying, "Thanks for the laugh. Have a good one."
You betcha, Natasha. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. especially you guys. I'm so excited that you came here. I've had
Technically, you're being here today because
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
in
yeah.
our Airbnb.
Yeah, I've
so-
now moved into
Thank
your
you.
environment. But thank you for coming here to Utah to visit and explore and just have a great time. It's been the best.
If it wasn't for you, I would never really think about Utah as a destination. And now that we have been here a week and my previous trip last year,
Oh, it's a top.
This is an
top
awesome
level
place.
destination. Heck yeah.
yeah.
It has a lot to offer, and
Yeah.
it's from a herping standpoint, at least when it's not as dry as humanly possible, it's a really fun place.
It
It's
really
been
is.
great to hang out with Clint and Clint's Reptiles, as I'm sure you guys are aware. But to be honest with you, I'm blown away by you guys, the community that you have built for yourself. You guys are absolutely awesome. This will sound promotion-y or whatever, but if you're like a nice person, please come join mine. I'd love to have you a part of my community. If you're a jerk, stay away. You know what I mean? I don't want the mass numbers, but if you consider yourself super cool, like I obviously consider myself that way, then yeah, join us.
I'll take the jerks. I can help with that.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll fix you. I seriously, I couldn't recommend
You guys are
anybody
amazing.
more highly than these three. They're incredible. They're doing great things for the reptile community and just to make the world a better place. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Clint.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you.
Well, as always, like and subscribe, and we hope to see you real soon. Just a second. Don't say anything crazy. We're not really gone yet.